Between knowing nothing and knowing everything, there's a zone. That's exactly where we sit. Not experts, just curious about the world. Welcome to the Buffer Zone. I am your host Shabazz, alongside my co-host Shivam. How are you, Shivam?
Good. I'm good, Shabazz. How are you, man?
I'm good as well, Shivam. Just been, reading about the Islamabad peace talks, and as we had discussed earlier as well on our phone calls, that I think we should make this our next episode to talk about it in front of our audience.
Yeah. So, if you want to give it an analogy, like if anyone is looking for a plot twist that no political thriller could ever give, they simply need to look at the world map right now. So, basically, we've witnessed the most high stake negotiation of the 21st century. The US and the Iran, they finally came to the table.
Yeah, but here is the part that feels like a glitch in the matrix. The table was in Islamabad. I repeat, the table was in Islamabad, not Geneva, not Doha, not Beijing, but Islamabad.
Think about the sheer irony of this, Shabazz. On one side of the screen, you see headlines stating Pakistan's staggering inflation, IMF bailouts, political gridlocks. Yet, you see the world's only superpower and the most fiercest country coming on the soil of Islamabad, talking peace.
No, no, I absolutely agree. It's genuinely shocking. How did a country currently wrestling with its own survival, especially in terms of financial survival, as you rightly mentioned, how did it become the only one capable of holding the world's survival in its hands? How did the struggling neighbor become the essential bridge?
That's exactly what we are going to dig into today. So, today on the buffer zone, we are stepping into the middle of the bizarre reality, moving past the economic headlines, moving past the ironies, and to figure out that in a world full of giants and most powerful players, how come this fragile player became the most important room in the house? That's what we are going to dig into.
Exactly. Is this just a quirk of geography, or is it actually something about Pakistan that the rest of the world simply cannot replicate?
Let's find out. Let's find out that. So let's zoom into Islamabad for that, Shabazz, and see what actually unfolded behind the curtain, because that's where the real story begins, right? So on 11th and 12th of April, both US and Iran, they came around the negotiation table at Serena Hotel in Islamabad. So, as most of the media coverage revolved and centered around this, some of the media interest always also revolved around the fact that how come Pakistan managed to, step into and become the mediator in chief? Uh, that's very amazing for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, the 300 member US delegation, which was led by Vice President, beg your pardon, say JD Vance, and the 70 member Iranian team was led by their parliamentary speaker, Mohammad Ghalibaf. They both came on the table in Islamabad. But what were they discussing? Few big issues, of course: ending of the war, easing tensions in the Middle East, opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and especially the Iran's nuclear program was on the agenda. And this program has been something that has irked USA in the past as well, and it is still bothering them, and they are concerned about it.
Exactly. And Shabazz, the talks did last for 21 hours, which do show us that both the parties involved, they were serious. But in the end, no conclusion was drawn, neither on the Strait of Hormuz situation, nor on the Iran's nuclear program. So both the key factors, were still on the table, and nothing uh, came to, conclude that.
Shivam, also interesting to note that the USA reportedly made an offer to Iran to end the sanctions they had put on them for many years. We all know that financially how much trouble Iran has been in because of the sanctions put in by US, where Iran cannot freely trade with other countries like others in the world can. But according to a few experts I was reading, they felt it was like a dangling carrot in front of Iran. US wanted to see that after all the destruction they had done, especially killing of the supreme leader, have Iran fallen so far down that they will bend to the will or not.
Exactly. But Shabazz didn't. They didn't bend at all. We, up the previous episodes, maybe we have discussed this thoroughly, that we believe that Iran do hold more cards, more important cards than USA. and also their control of Strait of Hormuz, which is also one of the topics which we have covered intensively in our previous episodes. But it does give them kind of control and leverage in the world economy, and they didn't do anything which showed the other way around. Like they acted in a stronger way, and they didn't do anything which make them look like that they have surrendered or they've given up their leverage. So I believe they did their role very well. Iranians did their role very well.
शिवा, you rightly mentioned कि हमने पास्ट में कहीं कुछ टॉपिक्स पे वी हैव टच्ड अपॉन अ लॉट ऑफ द टॉपिक्स, राइट? हमने स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज पे बात की, हमने उनकी इवन उनके ऊपर जो न्यूक्लियर सैंक्शंस लगे हुए हैं, न्यूक्लियर वेपन की जो प्रॉब्लम रही है ईरान की, यूएसए को जो प्रॉब्लम है, एंड ऑल्सो कार्ड्स की हमने बात की थी, हमने प्रिडिक्ट किया था कि ईरान डज होल्ड मोर मोर कार्ड्स. ऑल्सो इंटरेस्टिंग टू नोट कि यूएसए ने ईरान को बोला था कि आप अपनी जो प्रॉक्सी ग्रुप्स हैं, जिनके बारे में हम पहले बात कर चुके हैं अपने एपिसोड्स में, उनके उनकी फंडिंग बंद करो. और वहां पर भी ईरान ने अपना स्टैंड लिया और ईरान ने मना कर दिया कि हम जो अपने प्रॉक्सी ग्रुप्स हैं इन द मिडिल ईस्ट उनकी फंडिंग बंद नहीं करेंगे. सो दैट वाज अनदर इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट.
Exactly, exactly. So where do we stand right now? So let me, talk in short. Let me sum it up where things, stand right now, as of now. Talking about the ceasefire hanging by thread, because neither side trust each other, and they're bothly, I believe, quietly preparing for something big, something that they're going to do. Iran is calling it out as the violation of the international rule, and also Washington is hinting at major strikes, and Tehran is saying that they have way more cars than they have already used. So, Shabazz, this isn't a diplomatic language. This is a pre-escalation language. And the most important pointer, we are still not settled there. The Hormuz. And the world is already feeling it, Oil prices are jumping, markets are wobbling, and we know whenever the hormones go sideways, the global economy feels it instantly.
Absolutely, Shivam, bang on. I think that was a much needed update as to where we stand right now. Now that we've tracked the crisis, there's one question, which we asked earlier as well, right? There's one question that we cannot ignore. Why Islamabad? Why Pakistan? And for this, we need to go back. We need to go back and uncover decades of muscle memory. We need to go back and see the relationship between Pakistan and USA and Pakistan and Iran. I'm going to start off by talking a bit about the Pakistan-US relations. It's not a new friendship. I mean, Pakistan has spent 50 years proving to Washington that they are operationally a useful asset. If we go back to the Soviet-Afghan war, Pakistan helped USA and became its literal pipeline, right? Then fast forward to the 9/11 attacks when the US launched its, depending on where you sit, famous or infamous war on terror. Pakistan was the one that provided it logistics so that USA could gather intelligence and hit the Taliban targets in Afghanistan. But as we know, funnily enough, in a cruel, you can say cruel twist of fate, Pakistan was found in a spot of bother where when Osama bin Laden was found in Pakistan, hiding in Pakistan under their noses. That kind of strained the relationship and increased tensions between both the countries. However, relationship never broke. That was the key. So by the time of 2026 now, Pakistan has a very specific reputation in Washington's eyes. Not perfect, not aligned, but absolutely useful when things go haywire.
Yeah, nicely summed up. Uh, so Shabazz, now let's move to the flip to the other side, Pakistan and Iran. So very, very strange relationship. They're not allies, they're not ideological partners, but yet I believe they have mastered something very underrated in geopolitics, the art of coexisting without blowing up. So that's very, very interesting because if you look at the history after the Iranian Revolution, both the countries they drifted apart. In fact, in Afghanistan, they both backed their rival sides. They had disagreements over Taliban, uh, yet no collapse in relationship. Very, very strange. And also, Shabazz, I would like to say the fact that both the countries are border countries. They share approximately, if I'm not wrong, 900 to 950 kilometers of border. Uh, they trade whenever they want to. There are overlapping security issues as well. So this, relationship kind of settles into something quite pragmatic rhythm. Call it not friends, not enemies, but always talking. So that's a very, very sweet spot.
Yeah, Shivam. On a lighter note, when you say not friends, not enemies, but always talking. For a moment, I thought you're talking about me and my gym crush. But let's not let's not go there.
Nice, nice one.
Well, coming back to the topic, you also have to understand, guys, that Pakistan is on a financial ventilator. It is dependent on IMF bailouts. Yes, peace talks were held in Pakistan, but they are not just being a good neighbor. They know that a regional war could occur, bankrupt its treasury, and ignite its streets. So there is a lot of self-interest as well for Pakistan to hold these talks. So it's not all being, being a good neighbor. There's more to it than just that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And also, Shabazz, while everyone is, asking and talking about why Islamabad, I believe the more interesting question for us, being Indians, is why not India? So maybe it's smart low-key positioning, or maybe it's timing or access thing, or maybe it's one of those things or those moments where a bigger role could have been taken, but it was missed. So I don't know whether it's a quite masterstroke or a subtle miss. I don't know. So I would like to have your views and opinion on this. Like, what do you think?
Shivam, first of all, from all the information I've gathered and read about, I feel India did not want the job. New Delhi has been very consistent about this. They don't see themselves as a referee. Our foreign policy is built on strategic autonomy, which we have also discussed in one of the earlier episodes, where you stay connected to everyone, but you don't get dragged into their conflicts. So mediation sounds very fancy and very prestigious, but it's risky, right? So India's calculation was probably who takes the hit if something goes south. And secondly, Shivam, Pakistan moved first. There is no doubt about that. In moments of crisis, speed beats perfection. Pakistan moved first in a race, but we have to understand that India was not in the race at all. So we were not in that same competition. um, you know, you have to understand that Pakistan took that initiative out of self-interest. They got both Iran and USA on the table. They held the talks, but now they've also become part of the process. So there is a risk involved. And I feel, maybe you can shed some light on why this is the case, where Pakistan is, willing to take that risk, where India might not be willing to take that risk.
Yeah, so contributing to both the pointers that you've stated, I believe, Shabazz, India has more skin in the game than it wants to admit. Agar tu le le ki most of our energy requirements are from Middle East, right? We have deep strategic ties with Washington. We have deep economic ties with Tehran. So it's a very delicate balancing act, right? And if the mediation collapses, we just don't lose face. We see fallouts across multiple fronts, right? So India plays it smart. They stay close, stay relevant, but they don't sit in the hot seat. So I believe that's the key pointer. And also, Shabazz, the last pointer which I would is the pointer which I believe most of the people don't say out loud, but I believe I would that Pakistan is easier to use. So it's harsh, but it's the reality. For Washington, Islamabad has always been a functional broker, uh, important, but not that critical to its long-term strategy and long-term foreign policy in the way India is, right? So the takeaway is pretty simple. Yes, as you stated, Pakistan acted fast, but I believe India acted smart. We avoided the hot seat and we preserved our global positioning. And in geopolitics, restraint is power.
It is indeed. Um, Shivam, now we have heard the human perspective and the experts' fears. We have seen whatever is happening or what has happened so far after the talks as well. But on this show, we operate in the zone between what we know and what we don't. We are the buffer zone podcast after all. So for the first time, we have decided to hand the floor to something that has no agenda. no nationality, and no bias.
So I would like to, iterate for our audience that for the first time, through an AI model, we want to see what a machine predicts, not human perspective, as you stated, but what a machine predicts for the coming days to come. So it will be a kind of a live trial that we'll be doing. So I'll be running all the data points from April 18th attacks on Indian tankers to the failed Islamabad talks and to the 400 million day blockade. So I'll input all the data right now and see what the outcome is. So this time, I believe we would not need your prediction, but AI will be, more precise than you. So just give me a minute. I'll run the script.
Yeah, I think we need to be better next time so that AI doesn't take our job here. So yeah,
Just give me a
right.
minute. I'm just inputting all the data that I have gathered through my research. Just give me a minute. Yes, I've entered it. It's processing. So yes, here we have the answer.
Let's go.
So I'll read as it is. I won't add anything of mine. So it says after the Islamabad talks, the United States and Iran situation has settled into a controlled but tense standoff. Talks are likely to resume, but only after more pressure through naval incidents as both sides try to gain leverage. The Strait of Hormuz will stay unstable, not fully closed. Do expect disruptions and signaling rather than total shutdown. The last pointer is a full scale war remains unlikely for now, but rising economic and military pressure means one miscalculation could quickly escalate things. So, bottom line, not peace, not war, just a fragile, high stake balancing act. So, that's the prediction.
Interesting. Interesting. I think that is something very very fascinating to see that the AI has covered a lot of topics of relevance. Obviously, because all credit to you also for putting in the accurate data without bias. The Strait of Hormuz as well. Then you also seen, as you I think mentioned about that a full scale war remains unlikely for now. So that is good to know. Yeah, that's quite good to know. Sure. What do you think about this prediction?
So, in the most interesting line that I found in the prediction is one miscalculation could quickly escalate things. So, that's the balancing rope that both the countries involved must look at because it's already, multiple countries getting involved. So, we can't risk a full blown regional war. We are already seeing a regional war, but a full blown regional war could have a very, very huge impact on the world economy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go, I want to sum it up. I want to sum up the Islamabad peace talks. We've already covered why Pakistan, why not India. But I just have a few lines for the peace talks. And here's where the illusion breaks. Because for a brief moment, it looked like diplomacy might hold. But what Islamabad exposed wasn't progress, it was distance. Not just political distance. I mean strategic distance and I mean psychological distance. Islamabad wasn't the end of the story. It was the moment that both sides realized they're still too far apart to make peace and just close enough to make things much worse. Just seek the sun, get eaten. Real power lies in the shadows. This is the buffer zone. See you next week.